How's everybody doing then out there? How's you all going on this Good Friday? Now, this is a Paul Joyce article, guys, and it's written like an opinion piece. But if those of you that have watched my videos will know that Paul Joyce is obviously someone who gets information directly from the club and whatnot. And you're not really supposed to read entire articles outright, but I've tried to go through it and highlight stuff that I think is worth talking about. But most of the article's worth talking about. There's so many points in here that I think is worth pulling out because it's Paul Joyce. And I think it's just going to be one of those where I think we may look back on this and think, okay then. So yeah, I'm going to just go through this whole thing. It could end up being a long video, this, guys, so stick with it if you do end up enjoying it. But yeah, if you do end up liking this video, guys, hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I want to know your opinions on this, and let's get a back and forth going with this one, just because I don't know, there's so much in this straight away off the bat. So anyway, let's dive into it and stop messing about. So it's titled, Liverpool set for big summer. How and where will they strengthen? So straight away, like, it's that phrase again that we've seen from Van Dijk, Salah, Slot, Joyce now, Ornstein. They're all saying that Liverpool is set for a big summer. So let's dive into it again then. Despite being on the verge of the title, Arne Slot is keen to refresh his side to take them to the next level, with a long shopping list to help challenge on all fronts again. In recent weeks, Arne Slot has taken to reeling off a list of complaints. Liverpool are not good enough to take their eye off the prize, he said. They can struggle for periods in matches, do not score enough goals to ease the pressure on themselves. By the time he'd finished speaking, it had felt pertinent to double-check the standings. Yes, they are still top of the league, stand 2 wins away from a second championship in 35 years. So, Slot's becoming a bit critical of the squad, which is fair enough. I think we can all see places where it needs strengthening as well, so that's fine. Silverware remains on course for Anfield, but what can also be said is that the title is set to be won by a team heading into a transition. That is not how the best side in the country usually announces themselves. Change is coming. Although the big summer Virgil van Dijk referenced at the start of the week will be less extensive now that he has joined Mo Salah in committing the next 2 years of his career to the club. So there you go. This big summer is not going to be as big as we've been thinking and been thought about by the other journalists. He says it there himself. Slot's quoted here as in saying, it's already been a big summer in reference to those 2 deals. There is a study being done that the longer a team plays together, the more success it has. I think the core of the team you want to keep together as long as you can, as long as they are performing in the best way, but it is also in general good to have some new energy in and around the place with 1 or 2 players. That I agree on. So is that a potential hint there as well? 1 or 2 players coming in during the summer? Back to Joyce now. As ever, with Liverpool's power brokers, it was planned this way. Sean, I was going to love this bit. I can already see it now. When Slot arrived on Merseyside from Feyenoord last summer, he resolved to work with the squad left him by Jurgen Klopp and spend the season assessing its strengths. I mean, on this one straight there, I said this a few months back, you're risking your job there, aren't you? You could come in and try and assess the squad, but if that squad's not performing well and it starts doing what a Man United doing, you're 14th, 15th, do we all think that Slot would still be in a job right now? I don't know. It's a bit of a risk. There were a number of reasons for this. First, the club's sporting director Richard Hughes correctly believed the Dutchman would be able to improve some of the players, and second, Liverpool had not had time to properly prepare for the upcoming transfer window. Which is probably true considering they only probably started working February time last year, so I can kind of see that. FSG had only just persuaded Edwards to return to the fold in an overarching role as its chief executive officer of football, some 2 years after he had stepped down. I don't agree with that. I think Edwards coming back has been on the cards for a fair bit of time before he actually signed that deal, and I do think it's probably part of the reason why Jurgen Klopp left, but hey, that's just my opinion. That amount of change meant a collaborative working process had not been established, so the risk of entering the market for a new players multiplied. There is a saying internally that under FSG's successful self-sustaining model, Shauna, that money cannot be spent twice. And in any case, there are examples not far from Liverpool where the theme of change and spend has not worked. Obviously, hinting at Man United there. It takes a brave leadership group to maintain that stand amid the inevitable noise from the outside. Yet the only signings last summer were Mamadashvili for 29 million, who was left at Valencia for 12 months, and Chiesa for a low jeopardy 10 million. That strategy has borne fruit. Liverpool are in a strong position, having spent a year doing their extensive background work on potential targets and building up financial resources. Slot has a better understanding of his squad's ability, and together with Hughes, Edwards and the Director of Research Will Spearman and the Chief Scout Barry Hunter, they can now execute plans to enhance options for next season. Oh, and they will go into the market as champions, is what he's added there. Now, this bit here. A multitude of names have already been linked, from attackers such as Isaac, Julian Alvarez, Hugo Ekitike, Antonio Semenion at Bournemouth, to full-backs and centre-backs including Milos Kerkez, Dean Huijsen, Jeremy Frimpong and a cast of thousands in betweens. Nico Williams, Ardar Gullit at Real Madrid, Anthony Gordon at Newcastle, Shirky at Lyon, Hato at Ajax and Branthwaite at Everton. It can feel like a new name emerges every day on social media. I would just like to say the fact that he's pulled them names out, I won't be surprised if some of them are on the list, because that winger from Bournemouth, I've not heard him linked for ages and he's mentioned him. I think Kerkez and Huijsen, yeah, 100%. Frimpong probably, if for backup, for Brodley or replacing Trent, whatever. I don't think Isaac is a go. Alvarez would be expensive, but I think he would be a good fit. And Hugo Ekitike, I'm not sold on, guys. I'm just not. Same as Shirky as well, to be fair. I'm not sold on him either. Anfield's present strikers, Nunes and Jota, have only scored 11 league goals between them this season. And there is no doubt that Isaac is admired. Liverpool have put themselves in a position whereby they would be an attractive proposition should the future of the Swede become an issue. However, there is no suggestion that Newcastle are willing to sell, and that prospect seems more unlikely should they finish in the Champions League positions. Imagine for a moment, though, that they were open to a deal. If the valuation of Isaac is 150 million, then there is little to suggest Liverpool would go to that level for one player. So there you go, guys. Ruling that one out. There is always a decision on how best to allocate resources, evidenced in 2023. I swear to God, if he's about to talk about Jude Bellingham now, by the decision to abandon interest in Bellingham because spending 115 on a single talent did not make sense when the entire midfield could be rebuilt by recruiting McAllister for 35, Szoboszlai for 60, Gravenberch for 34 for a combined 130 million. Well, what about the Caicedo bid then, Paul? 115 million after we'd already signed them players. Don't talk shit, mate. I respect you thinking everything like that, but you're talking shit there, pal. Competition for Andy Robertson is required at left back, and Bournemouth have placed a price tag of 45 million on Kerkez, who was signed by Hughes for 15 million. Then, should Trent leave on a free transfer to Real Madrid, there is a question of whether a new right back is needed, whether Bradley is challenged by existing members of the squad, Kwanzaa, Gomez and now Jones, who has played at fullback. If that is the case, do Liverpool need another centre-back, especially as Konate is heading into the final year of his deal, and new contract talks do not appear particularly advanced? I would sell Konate this summer. If he does not sign a new deal by June or July, I would get him sold and buy somebody else, 100%. Huijsen, the 19-year-old Spanish player, has a 50 million release clause, which makes Bournemouth particularly susceptible. In midfield, Slot has prioritised the aforementioned trio of Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai, with Jones the only other player to have started in the league. Endo is seen as a finisher and he has played 143 minutes this season, when Liverpool are leading by a slender margin. Yet, if the attack improves as Slot wants it, his team will not be in a position where they are nervously looking over their shoulders. Liverpool have spent heavily in the past on players who would have spent on more than Van Dijk than the 75 needed to recruit him in 2018, which would be equivalent to 107 million today for inflation. Don't know why we need to know that. That was immediately offsetted by Coutinho's £142 million move to Barcelona. I see how you've not done the equivalent to today's money on that. Interesting. What of Harvey Elliott, who is viewed as an understudy to Salah and Szoboszlai? Does he fight for minutes again or take flight in search of an opportunity to show the best of himself? Tsimikas will find it hard to get game time should another left-back come in, and Núñez seems to have one foot out of the door, having failed to respond to Slot's coaching. That's sad, that one, man. Like, I always thought that Núñez would do really good if Slot came in, especially after what he did with that Jimenez over in Feyenoord, but it's not worked, has it? There is always chatter about Diaz's contract, which has 2 years left to run. The impending arrival of Mamardashvili has obviously repercussions for Kelleher, who wants to play more regularly, but there is no obvious destination. If Mamardashvili is the number one, what about Alisson retaining the top bill? Guys, I've said this for a few months now. I would not be surprised if Alisson is sold this summer. I really, really would not be surprised. Like, keep your eyes out for that one, 100%. It's just prime FSG, guys. Like, I know people have been saying, I mentioned it in a live or a video before, and people were saying, like, Alisson wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia because of his religious beliefs, but Alisson has actually said himself that he's open for a move to Saudi Arabia. If Liverpool wanted to sell him, that would be a destination he would think about. He said it himself, like, September, October time last year. Hey. Liverpool have spent more than $1 billion between 1990 and their next league title in 2020 in search for the missing piece of the jigsaw. It was going to be Stan Collymore, for example, then Paul Ince, and after that Fernando Torres. Now that they are basically champions, should Arsenal lose to Ipswich and Liverpool win at the King Power, the puzzle should be complete, and yet a new picture seems likely to emerge. So there you have it, guys. That is basically the article from Paul Joyce. Very long, I do apologise, but it needed to be covered. Like, I think what we can take away from this, in my opinion, is Liverpool will not be having a big summer. They will not be spending a load of money on a load of different players. It sounds like they're going to go out and get another number 9, who's going to come in and be the number 9, basically. Maybe they're bringing Jadon Dance to take over Diogo Jota's minutes. Sounds like obviously they're going to get a left back. I think Liverpool need a centre back right now, guys, as well, to be fair with you. So maybe 2 centre backs in the summer as well, especially with Joe Gomez's injury. Does Alisson move on? So if that's the case, and Kelleher move on, do we then need to get another goalkeeper? We're kind of sorted at the wing positions, apart from obviously if we do sell Diaz, then we need to get another winger in. And then obviously there was mentioned about Elliott. Could he be on the move with his minutes and everything like that? I mean, the kid has turned around and said that he'd like to play at Liverpool and he's a Liverpool fan, this, that and the other. But if he's just going to have a crap career and not get many minutes, I would not blame him for moving on. And then again, obviously as well at right back, what do we do there? Are we going to bring somebody in to back up Bradley or compete with him, whichever it is, you know? So we'll have to see what happens. But I think I am kind of excited for the summer, but I don't know. I'll have to just wait and see what happens with you guys. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.